increasing demands of consumers and the delivery economy setting in, the world is set to see a decade and beyond dominated by deliveries. This doesn't mean just home deliveries or the last mile, but the whole 9 yards that lead to it, including the first and mid-mile. With the evolution of dark stores, micro-fulfillment centers, curbside pickups, and the explosion of various third-party delivery apps, deliveries can become a logistics nightmare in no time. To navigate in this climate, enterprises need an intelligent delivery platform to manage deliveries. This marks the onset of a massive digital transformation in the logistics industry, which is not just a choice, but a mandatory step. Embrace innovation as your biggest strength with FarEye, the low-code intelligent delivery management platform. Adapt to rapid market demands and go to market quicker with a scalable and flexible platform that makes speed your most significant competitive differentiation. We help the world's leading enterprises across all miles and modes to navigate complex challenges in the first, mid, and last mile delivery ecosystem. For retailers that are balancing customer expectations alongside e-commerce readiness and omnichannel fulfillment. For the manufacturers who are managing direct-to-consumer deliveries. For logistics service providers, post and parcel enterprises who want to achieve cost-optimized on-time deliveries and superior customer experience. One platform, 150 plus customers, pre-built low-code workflow library, wide carrier network. FarEye, the intelligent delivery management platform for enterprises.
Well, welcome to another installment of LinkedIn Live or ISV Success Live. Thank you so much, everyone from around the world watching and taking that time on a Monday to listen to SJ from FarEye and myself to talk a little bit about their amazing innovation and IP around logistics. And so my name is Brian Galicia. I lead our Dynamics 365 ISV global business here at Microsoft, and I always have a privilege of having an opportunity to engage and talk with our amazing partner ecosystem, particularly Dynamics, on the innovation they're doing to actually drive amazing customer outcomes together between the ISV, FarEye, and in this case, the Microsoft Cloud with Dynamics. And so let me do a quick housekeeping items before we get to SJ and get started. So first and foremost, we'd love to hear where you're watching from. So if you are taking this call in Europe, in Asia, or here in the US, I'm watching it from, it is a little bit rainy today in Seattle. But if you want to just type in where you're watching from, we'll definitely do a quick shout out towards the beginning of this conversation so that we can, again, appreciate you taking the time to watch the event live. And second is that if you have a question that that's sparked by the conversation that SJ and I have, you could also feel free to put that in the comments in the LinkedIn window. And towards the end, we might have an opportunity to ask that question live, and I can put SJ on the spot to address a specific question that might be coming from our live audience watching remotely. And then lastly, as the dialogue progresses, if the information that you are hearing is resonating with you, feel free to utilize the LinkedIn experience using like, celebrate, etc., because that gives us an opportunity to, again, acknowledge that the information that we're sharing is super relevant. So without further ado, SJ, thank you so much for allocating time out of your busy day to spend time with me for about 30 minutes to talk about the amazing innovation and IP around FarEye. So the first questions I always ask when we get started in these types of conversations is your role. Of course, you're the president of FarEye, busy person running and creating the vision, the strategy, ethic, execution end to end. But then the other thing is, what is one thing not on your LinkedIn profile that you're open to sharing? So why don't you go ahead and kind of kick us off?
Sure. First off, thank you, Brian and the Microsoft team for having me here. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to everyone dialing in from different parts of the world. My name is Suryansh. You can call me SJ. As Brian mentioned, president of FarEye. So part of my portfolio, I do take keen interest working with our global customer base spread across 25 countries and with our strategic initiatives and partners. So we, of course, have a very deep relationship with Microsoft that we invest a lot of time into as well. something that's not on LinkedIn. Just the other day, I was in Europe talking to a customer, and he asked me, how did it all start? So I was in my previous life, probably over a decade and a half back, with a Forbes top 20 manufacturing company. And funny story, we used to spend billions of dollars on logistics and supply chain. And we actually had an instance when our production line came to a standstill because of a 10-cent part. And that just didn't make sense to me. Like, how can a company, that spends billions of dollars actually have a production outage because of, a 10-cent part? And that's what led to, a lot of meetings with a lot of transportation, logistics experts, more sweet chai, sweet tea than I can count, visiting these people. And that led to the genesis of the idea. And that's where we are right now. So it's been a great journey.
I love it. Oh gosh, SJ, what a interesting thing, because you think about it, and any type of process or discrete manufacturing thing, and for any of us who've been into a production line, you see all that stuff happening, and it's just, as you said, that the visual came to me. I'm like, oh my gosh, this little maybe nut or whatever it is, stopping the entire production line because of this one thing that didn't exist. That's amazing to think about, but also scary to think that it would shut down billions of dollars of things moving. And I love how that challenge sparked the opportunity for FarEye to get born and created. So I love that story. So before we get to the conversation, let me do a quick shout out to everyone watching. So Jane, thank you so much for tuning in from Charlotte, North Carolina, on the East Coast of the United States. Dennis, I always appreciate, because it seems like you always tune in to these events that we do. So Dennis, thank you so much for watching from, I'm not going to pronounce the name correctly, but this location in India. Paula, thank you so much for watching. And I wish it was sunny here in Seattle, but from Summerlin, just outside of Las Vegas in Nevada. And then, and I apologize, I'm not going to pronounce your name correctly, Rajendra. From Malaysia. So truly appreciate it. And also for anyone who watches the replay, we appreciate you taking the time to listen to it after the fact. So that being said, SJ, why don't you talk about, for people who've never heard of FarEye, and of course we teased it out with the video at the beginning and what you just said, but maybe even spend several minutes really talking about what's the business outcomes that FarEye addresses, and in particular in relationship to how we partner together with the Microsoft Cloud.
Sure, Brian. So in a simple statement, FarEye is essentially an intelligent delivery management platform that's helping enterprises all across the world really create deliveries as a competitive advantage. Now, what does that mean? So look, let's do a thought experiment. So why don't we think back, maybe a decade back, and I want us all to think about how many things did we really order online and get delivered to our home in a month, right? And feel free to comment out, how frequently you used to order, but generally, it would be in the single digits, maybe high single digits. Now think about, how many things did you order online and get delivered home last week? And significantly higher amount, probably in a day, what was in a month before. So essentially, e-commerce is revolutionizing business, and even the large enterprises, OEMs, retailers, they are, either willingly or being forced to move online, and it's becoming a significant chunk of top line. Now, the moment you start transacting online, you start building your commerce strategy around that. It's significantly a different ball game, and where customers aren't really making buying decisions based on just the cost or the quality. You and I as consumers, we are actually making decisions of where to buy, primarily based on when is it available, when is it going to get to me. Think about, you have a housewarming in a week's time, you want to buy some furniture, you go to 3 or different retailers, you're going to buy from where you're going to get that couch before your housewarming. Doesn't matter if it's more expensive or lower quality. So that's really what is driving businesses today, and the dynamicity of providing that customer experience, having different delivery models, same day, next day. You have inventory from your store, warehouse, dark stores. There's a lot of complexity that's built in with online last mile delivery model, and enterprises essentially are looking for a delivery management solution that really works end to end, helps them optimize and orchestrate that supply chain, provides that end to end visibility, on what's happening at every leg, and then eventually white labels and provides that superior customer experience for the brand. And these are some of the outcomes, essentially working also alongside Microsoft, both as in capacity of the retail Azure for retail, and also Dynamics 360, the intelligent order management system. We've been actually able to provide or generate some really strong outcomes for retailers, which we'll probably talk more on as we go on. And it would range from enterprises that are looking to control their bottom line, optimize their cost through an AI driven routing optimization tool, to companies that are looking to improve significantly the customer experience, stickiness, retention, with that white labeled end to end experience, to even companies that today are investing significantly towards their sustainability goals and want both a tool that can help them reduce their emissions, but also provide the right level of visibility and reporting around that. So it really depends on where the brand is, but as long as a lot of it's an enterprise that's consumer facing, they look at a tool to help them manage and perform deliveries better.
SJ, what a great overview. And if we did have the ability in the tool to actually create a poll, I have high confidence that people would say that within the past week, they've at least engaged with that example you have. And I'll give you the perfect example. Hey, how many times you open your door and there's a box delivered from the famous company that drives every type of thing that you can buy? Or also recently, my daughter wanted something like I couldn't go to the quick for sandwich, and you could have a sandwich delivered. I mean, again, the times have changed dramatically, and everything you just said about the cost of the actual good is a factor, but a big factor in some cases is the actual speed of when something can actually come to your house. And I love that analogy. So before we get to the next one, let me do a quick shout out to a couple of additional people who have joined live. And so Jill, thank you so much for making the time to watch from the middle of the United States, Minneapolis, Minnesota. Thank you. And again, I'm probably not going to pronounce your name correctly, Abhijit. Hopefully I pronounced your name correctly, from Bangalore, India, another person from the Asia time zone. Thank you. And then one last one, John, thank you for watching from, again, another state in the middle of the United States, Ohio, just off the Great Lakes. So thanks, John, for watching. So when we get to the next question, what's the experience been like? Because, of course, FarEye was recently recruited into the Microsoft partner ecosystem, and we'll get to the end on the IP and all that stuff that where people can learn more. But maybe talk about the experience that you've had, and then tease out whether now or when we get to the next question, what does it look like in the future? Like, we just started this engagement to the places, the touch points that you mentioned, SJ, around Dynamics and Azure, but maybe you could also touch upon what does the partnership look like as it continues to expand and grow?
Got it. So, Brian, we actually look at the partnership with Microsoft very strategically. As I mentioned, for a lot of our customers, these are large enterprise, mid-market enterprise customers who are facing this problem or this opportunity of deliveries for the first time. So it's not just about going out and getting the right tool. It's more strategic, and a lot of our customers, CIOs, chief supply chain, CEOs even, are really looking at more than just software, but they want kind of overall consultancy. They want thought leadership, and really they want to get it right. And that's where relationships with partners, strategic partners for FarEye, such as Microsoft, becomes really vital, because we are able to, with our experience of over 200 enterprises that we've aided in with our platform across 20 countries, we're able to really bring in a lot of that thought leadership alongside our peers and our partners on Microsoft, whether they're with Azure, whether that's with Dynamics 360. So we really look at it beyond being just functional from technical product solution, or more from a commercial go to market. We look at it really strategically in that regards. Having said that, of course, when you peel the onion, There are more layers to the relationship. I think what excites us is that the two products, Microsoft Dynamics 360 with its intelligent order management system, and FarEye really fit as a hand in glove, in the sense that where Dynamics 365 is able to create that really superior experience around order management and handling commerce, we extend that capabilities outside the four doors to allow a prospective partner or customer to also, through Dynamics 365 and through our integrations, extend that capability into delivery management and real-time visibility. And the handshake between these two softwares, given the work that our product teams have put together, is really very native, and it's an intelligent feedback loop that's really enabling some smart decision making already. And I'll just take an example to drive that message home. Today, we have any large, let's say, a clothing or any large OEM retailer who might be taking orders online. They also have significant amount of returns happening online, and most of the supply chains, they work in a way that there is a different model for delivery and there's a different model for returns. So you have a lot of extra miles, you have a lot of wastage, a lot of cost incurred. If you and I were staying in the same building, and at the same time you placed an order and I placed a return, there would be two different people coming for that same activity to our houses. But because of that intelligent communication that lies between Dynamics 360 and FarEye, we can actually ingest that information in real time, give it a feedback loop, make that conversation to say, hey, the same person who's coming to deliver to Brian's house, if I knew in real time that there is a return that Suryansh has placed, why don't I use the same person to also collect the return? So this is something that you can is really possible because of this handshake between the two systems, and it's only evolving from there, where both of our product teams are engaging to see what more we can do to make the order to delivery cycle more intelligent. On the other side, with Azure, we do work extensively with enterprises on Azure. We are present on Azure Marketplace and AppSource beyond having a GTM partnership, and because of the relationship being strategic, we also customers are able to take advantage of the Azure credits with the MACC program to take advantage of FarEye. So I think it's, as you said, early days, but we're already seeing so much interest and so much traction from customers and the Microsoft enterprise team that we really foresee a good future together.
I love it, SJ. Gosh, you touched on a couple of points I really want to highlight. The last one, when you talked about being on the various places and properties of Microsoft, what we refer to AppSource and Marketplace. I know that potentially can be confusing to some people externally, but there's very uniquenesses about those two places. AppSource is really the place where, as SJ was referring to, a Dynamics 365 and our business application scenarios, that's where we list IP that is very specific to that workload. Versus on the Marketplace, and what SJ was referring to, like the Mac decrement, which is basically Microsoft's commit to consume. So if you are a big enterprise account and have made a commitment with Microsoft to consume millions of Azure meters each year, FarEye is an amazing opportunity because their solution listed on that Azure Marketplace can actually help with that commitment and decrement. Because if you're going to use a Microsoft partner anyway, you can utilize partners like FarEye to actually help with that Mac decrement, which is a huge value to you as an end customer. The other one that I really caught my attention in your commentary, SJ, I love how you just said it's not just because when people think about, oh, I'm going to buy something, they think about the actual delivery of it. But how many times do you get it and you realize, oh, it's too small or it's too big or it doesn't really fit or whatever it is. I love how you just talked about the return and the intelligence that FarEye has built in to work with the Microsoft Cloud, because that's just as important. It's the full, every time I talk about business process with partners and even end customers, I always talk about, let's talk about the true end-to-end journey. Because one journey is, yes, you got to deliver something to the customer, but of course it begs the question, well, what do you do if the customer doesn't need it anymore or needs to return it? And so I love how your solution and the things we're building together are attacking that specific use case. So that I love how you talked about the intelligence, leveraging the intelligence and the low code capabilities existing in your scenarios to ensure that the business process is flexible enough to accommodate these things that end up being in the customer, in this case, the customer journey, where we want to have that best customer experience. So they return. They actually not return not the physical good, but they actually return and continue to make purchases over and over and over again. So that gives us, with about 10 minutes left, that gives us, SJ, some good time to focus on the last two questions. And one of my favorite ones is just, what's you mentioned the use cases in some of the scenarios, but maybe you could talk about one of your favorite examples of where you've witnessed FarEye and Microsoft working together, and what does that use case entail? Like I'm sure it's a retailer, but maybe to as much as you can share publicly, what are some of the things that you have observed when a customer not only leverages FarEye, but also they're leveraging it with the power of the Microsoft cloud, whether it be Azure or Dynamics, or in most cases, it'll be both because it's the Microsoft cloud. So maybe you can talk about the customer example that you might have top of mind.
Absolutely, Brian. And maybe let me pick up an interesting example where the organic nature of this partnership really comes out, because this is a customer that outdates our partnership. But because of the value of Dynamics and FarEye working together, it actually piqued our interest to work deeper with Dynamics. We could see the value prop there. So this is essentially, I can't name the organization, but it's close to $1 billion retailer present out of EMEA, who essentially traditionally had a lot of offline locations and stores where they would sell, electronics, white goods, really a lot of different high tech and big and bulky items. Pre-COVID, they took the journey to start off online as e-commerce was hitting that geography. That led to them, really being omnichannel and signing up with Dynamics and leveraging those capabilities. Essentially, and this is probably true for most journeys of enterprises, the volume of online transaction is low enough where they don't really need advanced solution. They go with a small scale logistics player who's good enough for that volume, takes all the responsibilities. As the online business increased, they realized that this strategy of outsourcing to a single player is proving to be quite expensive for them, and they also wanted to own the communication with the customer rather than leaving it to XYZ logistic company. So that's when they wanted to now upgrade to a more advanced delivery management tool. They wanted to upgrade to a multi-carrier strategy, and that's where they first signed up with FarEye. And with that, they were able to cut down a lot of their cost. They were able to improve the experience, but most importantly, and we touched on this earlier, it's actually our experience with customers is end consumers are interested in speed, but more than speed, they're interested in accuracy. So it's okay if you tell me it's going to be tomorrow instead of today, but then tell me it's going to be between 9 to 11 and come at that time. That's what I'm most interested in. So by having that control of these multiple carriers, being the brain that orchestrates it instead of just outsourcing your problem, they were actually able to own that problem, provide that accuracy, and their on time delivery rate jumped up to over 90%. So that led to them gaining more traction in the market, more business, and this is when COVID hit around that period of time. So as we all know, COVID led to a surge in online transactions, led to and I remember talking to the CIO of this particular company at that time, and he told me, Suryansh, our 3-year plan has essentially become our 3-week plan, right? So he wanted the system to both be able to scale up that fast, and it gave birth to new business models that they didn't even think of initially. And one of them in that journey, as the volume scaled, between 5 to 10x, they started seeing a lot of concentrated deliveries in particular locations. And this is when they decided that, okay, let us reduce our cost further by not only going multi-carrier, but in these hotspots where we have heavy density of orders, we want to also put our own fleet. So now you have a more complex supply chain, which is, multiple outsourced carriers, but also some in-house carriers. And you want to have an engine that can orchestrate between that, can also optimize better for your own fleet. So that was the next leg of the journey, that essentially we saw cost reduction at a net level to around 26% of the total cost that came down by going for that own fleet with an optimization in those dense areas. Today, where the journey sits in is, of course, the tool is natively integrated with the rest of their IT infrastructure, and they're really going hard in the current business model around customer retention. Exactly what you pointed out. How do we get more repeat orders, repeat customers? And that what that means is moving the inventory closer to the customer so that the lead times are lesser. Setting up dark stores, different delivery models, and really going that one level extra when it comes to giving customers options, delivery slots, returns, etc. So today it started off as a journey around just diversifying the supply chain, reducing, introducing better on-time deliveries. It evolved into cost, and today we're really working towards top line retention and increasing share of wallet with the customer. So this has been an interesting journey, and all of this was backed essentially on our Azure cloud with our integrations on D360.
Yeah, Jay, gosh, what a amazing conversation and articulation of a customer outcome and the scenarios around it. And I love the scenario when you think about the multi-carrier approach, because you're right. How often, well, at least in the United States, there are multiple drivers going around from multiple carriers, and even the main company I'm referring to outsources that to other places on occasion, and you don't always see their van show up on your front doorstep.
Yeah.
And I love how you talked about how FarEye can help with that information to help figure out like the optimization of that. But I love how you also said, because for me, that's so important, is that it's okay if you set the expectation that it's going to be 2 days from now, but let's just make sure that's accurate. And especially for situations where unfortunately people have porch pirates. If you don't know what that term is, it's someone who actually goes in and follows a truck around and then takes the package off your doorstep. And so there are people that, rather than going into a locker, they say, oh, you know what, I am going to be home around that time frame. So if you're going to commit to delivering on that time frame, I hope you do it. And so I love how you just said that, SJ, because that's so important about the customer satisfaction, about setting the right expectations and then meeting and exceeding those expectations. So with that being said, as we wrap up with the 2 minutes we have left, why don't you talk about next steps? Like, what are some of the places for people who have listened to this either live or replay and go, oh my gosh, I'm a retailer or I'm a partner implementing this in an environment that could use this, or I'm a Microsoft seller that's having these conversations with potential buyers that run to this. Maybe you can, and I'll flash up a couple of things that we talked about, but maybe you can articulate what are some best things people can do to learn more and take next steps.
Absolutely, Brian. I think essentially, if any of the folks listening in are directly or through a mutual customer engaging in a consumer-facing supply chain, so this could be a retailer, it could be a direct-to-consumer OEM that's manufacturing and selling directly online. It could be a food grocery company, or it could even be logistic companies that are actually helping these brands. So anyone that's engaging on a consumer-facing supply chain, where you're looking to go online, or there is a omnichannel strategy, and you could be facing, as I called out with the last example, it's a journey. So you could be facing right from just setting it up as a model, and having now a more enhanced strategy. There could be specific problems. How do I bring my costs down? How do I improve my customer retention on the last mile? Any challenge that you're facing on the last mile deliveries, as a omni-channel or an online e-commerce business, I think that's the right point where you should probably get in touch with us. And how can one go about doing that? We have a link which is being flashed up. Thanks for that, Brian. You could obviously come to our website, set up a meeting. We also have the access and the email ID of folks who you can directly write to, and you could use any of these channels beyond. If you are with Microsoft, you could work within the Microsoft tools and our partner managers to also reach out. So we hope we are present in many places and easy to reach out to, and I'm sure you'll get an immediate response to really understand more the problem, and then see if there's some way that we can help out.
I love it, SJ, and I just flashed up the FarEye.com/book a meeting. I noticed that someone on your team has been putting really great resources in the LinkedIn feed. But this is a good starting point. Ujwal is a partner contact at FarEye that, again, can help engage and connect if you're a software integrator or a Microsoft employee looking to learn more information. That's a great starting point. And then last is the actual, and this goes to not their Azure Marketplace, but the BizApps solution that sits on AppSource. If you just screenshot this or type it in the window live as you're watching this, if you just go to ak.ms/FarEye, that will take you to the IP and some of the amazing touch points that SJ talked about. The other is that, of course, we're on LinkedIn. And so SJ and even myself, we put in the window our simple handle on LinkedIn, the unique URL. So please connect with us. It's also an opportunity because we're doing this on LinkedIn live streaming. This gives an opportunity to, again, connect with people, ask questions, or just even connect so that you can see what both our organizations are up to. So as we close out, SJ, any final comments before we end the show for today?
This has been great, Brian. I really enjoyed our conversation. Some really relevant discussion pointers. I see some great comments coming in. Looking forward to folks who might be watching the replay as well. Feel free to reach out to us as a FarEye or as an individual. You can ping me on LinkedIn as well. And all the best, Brian, with the rest of your episodes. I think I've been following this track for a while, and some really good conversations that you're able to bring out. So thank you for that. Thank you for doing this, and look forward to all that comes from this session. Thank you.
Yeah, my pleasure, SJ. I truly appreciate how many of our ISVs take the opportunity to just share what they're up to, and no different. I truly appreciate you taking time out of your busy day and the investment in the partnership. I never take that for granted. Super grateful when partners raise their hand and go, I'd love to be part of the Microsoft ecosystem, and they push for ensuring that we're working very closely together. So for everyone watching live or watching the replay, thank you so much for allocating time to watch. We do these every Monday. The purpose is really, as I mentioned at the very beginning, to just share the goodness of what our ISV ecosystem is doing in the Dynamics 365 environment. You can follow the hashtag ISV Connect or ISV Success Live, because that is the hashtag we try to tag everything to. And aka.ms/ISV Success Live is where you can not only watch this episode that with SJ that we just are about to complete, but all the episodes behind the scenes, because it's amazing that we're now almost close to 80 episodes that we've done across many different ISVs like FarEye and SJ. So SJ, FarEye, thank you so much for making the time. Thanks, everyone. Have a great week. Take care.
Thank you. Take care.